All right, man, win's a win, and we needed one, so we'll take it. I know Scott late in the game. He looked about as frustrated as I did. I was trying to close that thing out. You'd have thought we were trying to solve calculus problems there. But I just told the team the other day. This early season's kind of taken a little bit of a similar route as last year's team, and I guess it was a little bit predictable in terms of this game. Kind of took the same route as last year's game, and wasn't our prettiest win, but give them credit. They played hard. They really came out with some pressure, and I thought it took us a little while to settle into some of that. And we weren't super clean offensively in the first half. I thought we were playing decently hard at times, but still having some defensive just breakdowns that at this point you would think we would not be having, but we are. And so we got to use the win to continue to correct some things. But really proud of some of our guys. I think 6 double-figure scores. You got to be happy about that. We had 24 assists. Our point guards had basically 13 of those. JP with 6 assists, and then Carter with 7. So really, really proud of the production there. I thought JP just had a complete game. Led us in rebounding, 6 assists, 11 points. And, obviously they were sending 2 on him all night. And, I thought we did a better job of dealing with that in the second half. PJ, just love to see a performance like that. He, got taken out of the starting lineup on Saturday, went out at UAB and played phenomenal. And, we had a drill yesterday where we basically, you wouldn't have thought watching the game that we worked on defense all day yesterday in practice, but we did. And we basically just statted it live. We had a big old board out there and just had all the things that matter in defense. We were statting it and basically told the guy that had the most points at the end he was going to be guaranteed to start, and it was PJ. And it's funny how that works. You go out there and you get the deflections and the loose balls, and you make the hard verticality plays at the rim, and you get in a stance, and you get rebounds, and then you go out there today, and the game honors toughness, right? It always has, always will. And he was mentally ready to play well today, and he goes for 20 points, and we needed all of those. So very, very pleased with that. Obviously, Alex and Marcus scored the ball well, but we gotta continue, to get better in our defensive focus, and settling in. And I think we will. I think this is a really hard stretch that we're in, and it's what we wanted. I think that it's going to prepare us for what we need to be when we need to be really, really good. And we lost 2 pros on that team last year, and probably have played a slightly harder schedule. But we got some really good players here, and we got a really, really good team. And hopefully on Saturday will be the first time that we'll be full strength with everybody if Ben's back. And look forward to continuing to grow and continue to build, and get where we need to be.
Coach, is it a thing on, your guys are smart. I think sometimes they know when they have a defensive breakdown, and I think a couple times tonight they made up for it on the other end. But you still want to kind of get your point across. Hey, that's a nice way to come back on this end, but that end's still a problem. So how does that all kind of play in? And
Yeah, I think, Scott, like, the reality is, how does this team get the best, right? Like, that's what you're trying to figure out. You're not trying to figure out just short term, like, how do we go win each individual games, but, like, what does best look like for this group? And right now, like, we put 86 more in the basket tonight. We put 86 on a court in the American the other night, okay? But we gave up 92, right? And so for us to get the best, this team has to guard. And that's just the facts. Like, there's no way around that. And I think for me, I have the last 48 hours, I've put a tremendous amount of pressure on these guys to play harder and more connected on the defensive end of the floor. And, did you feel that tension tonight a little bit? Probably, and I think at some point we've got to settle in, and we got to make decisions that we're just going to go out there and play as hard as we can, and play as tough as we can, and really try to have some fun doing it. And I think until we get to that point, right, like, basketball's an imperfect game, probably more than any sport out there. Like, there's going to be a lot of mistakes, like you're going to have a turnover column. You're going to have a missed shot column, right? You're going to have, like, teams are going to score. But what is over the 40 minutes, like, what's our identity, right? Like, what's the heart of our team? Like, what does it look like out there? And I think for us, great teammates, right? We've always prided ourselves on that, right? Flying around on defense, move and value the ball, okay? And so when you're looking at it, do we see that? And, tonight we had to get out of aggressive ball screen coverage. We had to go much more passive in the second half, and felt like it was working. But then they scored 42. They scored 36 in the first half. Maybe we should have kept hedging, but we're just not quite. We're not tied together quite well enough on the defensive end. We do have some guys like J.P. Pegues is playing extremely hard on that end of the floor. We got some guys. P.J. Smith is competing really, really hard on that end of the floor. But we just got to find some consistency there. And maybe it is a little bit of the pressure I'm putting on them. But for us to be a great team, like we have to put an expectation on ourselves that's really, really high. And playing hard's hard. Playing hard is hard. And, we've got to put a little bit more concerted effort to doing that.
I thought tonight defense in spurts was decent and pretty good at times.
Kind of sums up our year so far. Defense in spurts, good at times.
And you saw glimpses of what it could be.
Correct.
I think,
very capable.
But there were several times, and I don't know if it's just me, but it looked like we were, Furman was exerting a lot on that end, and it seemed like, I know Garrett one time, they seemed winded, sort of like they weren't in shape, or is that part of just getting into the season and just finding your
Yeah, we've talked about that actually. I mean, we do look a little bit more fatigued, and I think some of that, I mean, you just got to – I'm just a big believer. Like, you never make excuses about anything. You just take what you got and you figure it out. We've had a lot of days with 3 guys out that we've had minute restrictions and could only practice for an hour. And, it's just kind of been the hand we've been dealt, in terms of some of the preseason stuff. I don't know if that's it. I don't know. I mean, obviously we had a foreign trip. We practiced more this summer than we typically do. There's really – it's not like we're doing a whole lot different, like we played fast last year. So I'm kind of racking my brain on that as well. But, I think some of it has been, I mean, we've had some practices, just to be honest, where we can't go full court, to practice certain guys. And, you got to, everything in life has a cost, right? So you could say, well, we need to go full court. Well, then this particular person doesn't get to practice, what's the cost benefit here? And, should we be doing some extra running at the end of that practice to maybe, but when you look at our loads and you look at the things that we track, a lot of this stuff is very consistent to last year and what we done in years past. But it's something that I can see, but like I said, like playing hard's hard. I mean, it's just hard. And, but I tell you what, it's addicting. And once you do it, you taste it and you see what it does and you see that you can impose will and you can start to string stops together and now you can get out and run. And then all of a sudden you get settled in the half court, how to pass, how to cut. That's always been the formula here. And, I trust our guys. I got great faith in our group. And, I think one thing in their defense, first of all, we've chosen a really, really hard schedule. Okay, and you look at the conferences from the teams we've played, like it's pretty apparent. Okay, and look, the next couple games, it's not getting easier. And I think what happens is you can see your weaknesses quicker, and you can really, if you're not careful, fixate on that a little bit too much. We talk about what we lost last year. It's one thing to replace guys, but as you replace guys, you're also sliding roles up, right? So yes, we have 7 back, but none of the 7 are in the same roles as they were last year. And so now you got different responsibilities. You have different leadership. You have different accountabilities, right? And like everybody's now trying to take a seat or 2 up, and then you got to take the responsibility that comes with that. And so there's an element of patience that I've got to have with them. And obviously, there's nothing I see that makes me think we don't have a chance to have a great year. I mean, we're sitting here a year ago, and if we pulled out the film of the press conference, it's probably really similar. Okay. Well, I think we had a decent year, but that team kept getting better, right? And that team kept working through things and didn't get discouraged, just took the good with the bad and learned the lessons. And we talked about that a lot in the offseason. They learned well. They lost well, right? And but then you also got to win well, right? You got to win well, and you can't accept anything in winning that you wouldn't in losing. And then you just got to rest tomorrow, and you got to come in Thursday, and you got to try to get better. And there's a lot of positives. We needed all 86 of those points tonight, and we got to keep working. We're not a finished product. I think this team's got a really high ceiling, but I think we've got to embrace what it's going to take to get to team and what it's going to get to identity, and we got to trust those things, and we got to work to do those better.
Here's kind of a two-part question. I want to ask Garrett about how he's able to be productive coming off the bench tonight. Like the thing you love about Garrett is he said, "You watched us play this year. Cooper deserved to start tonight." So he took that on, but his productivity tonight and then kind of a new role this year. But he's been able to do that his whole career. And then how do you kind of coach up a freshman after they're a tough night when they haven't looked like a freshman all year?
Yeah.
And that they're gonna have that night.
Yeah, I mean that's been my fear with starting him. I don't want too much on Coop. He's going to be so good, and everybody's getting really excited about him, just as I am. I'm with him every day, but it's a lot. It just is, and the average fan doesn't understand that. But the past couple of games, you could have justified starting him, but now all of a sudden there's a different pressure that comes with that, and they were changing up defenses a lot, and putting all that on him to be able to see all that, quarterback all that. It just got to a point where I felt like not that it was a mistake to start him because he earned that, but it puts a lot on him. And I think Cooper's gonna, the goal is by league play, he's really, really comfortable and he knows what he's got to do, defensively and offensively. He's gonna be really, really good here. But we also know that Garrett has to have a really good year for us. And I think Garrett's fighting. There's no doubt about it, and I was encouraged to see his response. I wish he particularly would have closed out the game better. Just those 4 offensive rebounds they got. I'm not sure how many he was involved in, but he was involved in a couple. But in the heart of the game, when we made the run and we made the push, Garrett was involved in that. And I don't think Garrett should be a off the bench guy for this team. But we got to go out there and we got to earn it, and we got to show up every day. And it's like I've told him, right? Like being the 5th starter is different than being the 3rd or 4th starter, right? Like all that, there just comes a different responsibility. And I've been pleased with his response. I've been pleased with his ability to try to lead as well. And I thought you saw him go out there with the right mindset tonight, and therefore he is rewarded for it.
I continue to be kind of struck by Carter Witt, who he seems to there was a point in the first half where I guess there was a defensive turnover or something, and he found PJ for a 3, and then almost the exact identical thing happened again, and it was just like he didn't think twice about where the ball needed to go, and that's been really a theme with him this year, is that he's not thinking twice about who to get the ball to, and the ball seems to go down when he finds he's quick like that. And just talk about how critical that is for him as he progresses as a guard, and how he's made that progression over the offseason.
Well, I think he's just trusting his instincts more. Carter's got really, really good instincts, and he's got incredible vision, and so I think he's thinking less and he's playing a little freer. And Carter's a competitor. He loves to compete, and he wants to be out there. He wants to be out there as much as he can, and he helped us in a big way tonight. Thought he played a really good game at times, and his passing is unique. And the 7 assists, a couple of those turnovers. One was the right play, just deliver that ball and to skip a little high to PJ. But he's just I think what I would say is he's got more comfortable. And he is out there playing a little bit more instinctively instead of in thought. And the way we play, man, it's hard to play in thought. There's just so many things that are happening so quickly. And I think he's slowing down. This is the first time in his whole career that he's been under 30% turnover rate. And it's not that it's in the 20s. He's been in the teens. And so I've tried to encourage him with that. And then, now all of a sudden the perimeter shot's starting to fall, and which we knew it would. Carter's a good shooter, and he's worked really hard this whole offseason, to get more confidence in his shot. And, Carter's going to be a big piece, and there's no doubt about that.
How much does P.J. Smith having a breakout scoring game? Obviously, he's been doing other things well. Obviously, he didn't start the other day, but he played well coming off the bench. How much does that even help, just having it all right, now this dude's another guy that can score for them?
I mean, when you got a guy out there and goes 6 for 9 from three, that helps a lot of things. It's just it releases some pressure, and I've never, I've never really had a team that had like a, one guy was the only scorer, or two guys. Like we've had guys that you feature and like it, but like you go back to last year's team, like nobody knew towards the end of the year which of those four was going to be the leading scorer. You thought, hey, it's Slaw and Mike, they're seniors, they're like those are going to be the, but I mean, we go play in the conference tournament, and JP led us in scoring some of that time, right? And so, I think that's always been the beauty of the ball movement and the synergy that we've tried to play with on offense. And so when you got another guy out there confident that hey, if they're going to commit to JP, which a lot of these teams are doing, and we have enough shooters out there, like these guys are going to get looks. And, that's hard, right? That puts a lot of pressure on that back line if they're going to commit two to the ball. And then you got PJ and Mark and Alex Williams back there, or Carter, or you take Ben out there, like any of those guys. And then you got a guy like Garrett or Tyrese that can make plays off that short roll. That's going to put a lot of stress on the defense. And so, it's just one of those situations where it just allows things to open up, right, and space the floor a little bit more. And basketball is a game of space. Offensively you're trying to create it, defensively you're trying to restrict it. And so the more guys you have that can play in space, the more effective you're going to be.
Yeah, I think y'all were 3 or 14 from three before he hit those two, and you end up 10 out of 31. So.
Well, missing shots is contagious, and making shots is contagious, and it seems to be right now this team doesn't really have a middle ground. Like we're either throwing them all in or we're throwing them all out. But fortunately, that gave us a little confidence, right? Like making shots can be contagious, and he knocked those two in. It was a 9-point game. All of a sudden, it's a 3-point game, and I think that kind of loosened some things up a little bit, calmed some guys down. And I don't think we shot it really that much better from three in the second half. I think we were low 30s tonight, but we were 8 for 14 from two in the first half, and our 2-point field goal percentage was much higher in the second half.
So going to Princeton on Saturday. What's Ben's status, and will you have, maybe a close to fully healthy team going to up to New Jersey?
Yeah, we don't totally know. I mean, we think there's a chance Ben could play, but it's going to be a day-by-day progression there. And so we'll see how the next couple of days go. But that's our hope. Our hope is that we can finally, for the first time all year, have a full roster of available guys to go play. And, but there's no guarantees on that. So we'll find that out here in the next couple of days.
And kind of final question. Obviously, they're really good and present a lot of challenges. What do you see on film from them that you probably haven't had a chance to look at it? But what kind of challenges do they present?
Yeah, I've watched them a couple times live. I like how they play. I mean, they play a good brand of ball, and they run really good stuff, and they got really smart, tough, skilled players, and kind of fits. It's kind of my preference, in terms of the basketball I like to watch. So I've watched 2 or 3 of their games live. They're really good. I mean, they are tough, and they'll fight you, and they can score it, they can pass it, they can move it, they can space it. They're as good as anybody we've played so far this year, and so it's going to take a big effort and a big challenge for us to go up there and do it. We will have to defend better than we defended tonight, and better than we defended Saturday. But if we go up and play defense, I think it's going to be a great game. And, it's obviously going to be on their home court. But, I think that our group, look, I mean, every game stands on its own 2 feet. Every one of them. You start trying to pair games up, you can go down a rabbit hole that makes complete zero logical sense, right? Every game stands on its own 2 feet. And, we got to win tonight. We got back on the right track. And, we rest up tomorrow, and then we go put a game plan together. We know we got a big challenge in front of us, but we got to go up there, and we got to be ready for it.
What do you see about Alex Williams? Kept you in the first half, plus 16 for the game.
Yeah, Alex is a very talented player. I mean, there's just he can score from all 3 levels. And, he's one of those guys that plays with a tremendous amount of confidence. I think he's spent a lot of time this offseason getting his body better, and I think you can see that, how he's playing. And, his on-ball defense has really come along, really trying to get him to be a complete player on both ends of the floor. But I know he's making strides there, and I know he's trying. And, this team needs, so far, right, just like last year at this point, like really getting a little bit of we're all better when we know what to expect. And right now we don't quite know what to expect, and some of that's my fault. Some of that's on me, that I'm trying to figure out these rotations, and I'm trying to figure out lineups, and I'm trying to figure out positions. And, at some point we're going to have to lock in and let these guys get comfortable in what their role is. And, I think I love competition, but I think tonight you could feel a little bit of the game pressure that I'm probably putting on them a little bit to try to, they're still fighting for, hey, man, I want to be a starter, and I think last year we found a lot of peace once we finally got mid-January. We said, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is what you can expect. And, because of different guys not being healthy and out of the lineups and things like that, it's made it a little bit harder to get that figured out. But we're obviously going to spend a couple days looking at that and trying to see if we can get a little bit more solid there. And I anticipate him being a big part of that. All right. Thank y'all.